Okay, we are recording. Everybody, thanks for watching. This is the On Fire podcast. I didn't slip up and almost say basically biblical. I did that on the last
It's
one.
hard.
But we got
Really hard.
it is. We've got me, Jesse. We've got Godbody, and we have Antoine on this episode. It's going to be a blast. It's Valentine's episode. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be very, very lovely. So we'll get right into it.
Indeed.
On fire, got a lot to say. Yeah.
Alrighty. Bear with us. We are
It kind
in
of
the
feels
process.
good with that intro. I'm not
Dude,
gonna
I
lie.
like it. I like it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. You did a great job, Jesse.
Appreciate it. So we are learning. I'm learning a new recording software here. We've switched, and so there may be some misclicks, but bear with us. So a couple things I do want to get out of the way before we get too much into it.
Mm-hmm.
First, should I do the Valentine surprise or the other surprise for you, Antoine?
Let's do the Valentine surprise.
Do the Valentine's. Okay,
okay.
So since this is going to drop on the day after Valentine's Day, so I figured I'd do a little overlay for us for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I made I don't know what you call it, not a banner, a frame for us that has a bunch of hearts and angels on it.
Oh no.
But I had to do biblically accurate angels, so.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
But no, I'm not going to leave that up the whole time because everyone's face is blocked.
Yeah.
But I don't want to forget about this either. Before we get into it, episode 1 came out today, the day that we're recording, and I hadn't watched it before. But then after watching it, there was a comment made about I don't remember if it was Donovan or if it was Antoine that made the comment, but they were asking for some editing to be done. And I know they have this Sons of Thunder podcast. So I thought I would just go ahead and make you guys a new logo incorporating the editing that you guys asked for. So this is the new logo. I'm sure they're going to use it for the Sons of Thunder podcast.
Okay.
Oh, and Donovan's not seen that either. He'll I may
Oh man.
I don't know if I'm gonna send it to him before or make him just tell him that there's a special surprise in there.
Surprise! You gotta surprise him.
Oh, that'll be good.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
that's great.
Yeah, I love that.
So keeping in theme with Valentine's Day though,
Mm-hmm.
I know I brought that up to you guys in the group chat earlier, and Godbody seemed like he had some thoughts on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead before we go on with anything else. Godbody, any thoughts or railing against the commercialization of a emotion?
It's a complete scale. Like it's a like we supposed to love our significant others every day. Every day is supposed to be like a Valentine's Day to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like I get the whole thing, but as far as like the capitalization of it, like I normally give my lady flowers, and soon as like 2 weeks before, they raise the prices like $20. I'm like, they cost $10. Now I gotta pay $30. So it's just like, okay, I see what y'all doing. Over here. But soon as the very next day, everything is like 75% off. So I'll tell like we gonna celebrate Valentine's Day a week after. Like a week after. Like I'm not about to pay extra for something I normally do. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think I'd agree too. Like I've always kind of felt like that a little bit, but I think especially like, I mean, growing up, like getting married and then really starting to have a, I guess, more Christian view of love, you realize like it's not just Valentine's Day, but most everything is it's so focused on one aspect of love, and it's really like probably the smallest aspect of love. Just the emotion, the butterflies in the stomach, when really, if and you know, this is probably too because I'm in the middle of this studying for this fruits of the spirit, but the word that we see in the Greek, typically in the New Testament, there are 4 words that are used for love, but the one that we see the most is agape, and it really has nothing to do with emotion. It's about sacrifice. It's about putting the other person above yourself, lowering your wants, desires, needs, and elevating theirs. And it's intentionally really doing that without the emotion being there. And so seeing I don't think necessarily a holiday based on love is bad or wrong or anything like that, but I think it would be good to maybe kind of refocus to a better understanding of love and not the 5% of what love actually is.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, every day around here is Valentine's Day. Not necessarily do I give her flowers every week and stuff like that. I gotta get more like my boy up there. But
I've been slipping lately, but
but I will say, like, the aspect of the holiday, I never really liked it too much. I mean, when I was younger, it was a good way to flex. Like, I got this Valentine, I got that Valentine.
That's what it really is.
Yeah, it's a flex. So I mean, now that you know most of us are married or in serious relationships, it's like, all right, look,
Let's be real.
I do this.
Let's be real.
I do this all the time. You know, you want a happy Valentine's Day. The electric is paid. Happy Valentine's Day.
We still got heat.
We still got heat. We still got water. We got food. You know what I mean? You got internet. Like, come on. Yeah. we good. No, but the other aspect that I like that you talked about, Jesse, was the understanding of the difference. And this is something that I did during later on in life with Valentine's Day. It wasn't necessarily the cards, the candies, the flowers, the teddy bear. It was more so, when I give you these things, I'm going to tell you why I gave it to you. And wrap it into the agape thing. Like, I used to give my every Valentine's Day, I used to give my grandmother a new teddy bear. So, and she would know what it meant every time I would give it to her. This one is for Boom, or for this one, or whatever. And like, she was a collector of them. And then even with my wife now, she has all the stuffed animals I ever bought her. She has them like set to the side, and like nobody can touch them. They're just they're off limits. You know what I mean? So those different things that I do now, just to incorporate Christ into the holiday, because it can get really crazy. You know, bouquets of flowers and Red Lobster, and well, not Red Lobster, but lobster dinners, shrimp and champagne cocktails and all kinds of stuff. Just be like, bro, I just spent $500 for what?
Yeah, for what?
For a random Thursday in February.
Yeah, random Thursday in February. A happy good time for you, and I'm sitting here like, my pockets.
I like that idea of it. So we don't really ever go too all out. Like I think the first year my wife and I were together, I did, and it was more just like, I mean, it was the first year we were together, and so I did. I still do. I try to do some stuff. It does get, especially as prices get up there.
Yeah.
But we're also both like, it takes so much to go out and do something and it takes that takes away time with the kids. It takes away, other stuff too. And so we'd almost rather just like let's do something here at home. I think the biggest thing that I know I've not always done, but I mean for a considerable amount of time since my oldest was born. My oldest is a girl. Since she's been born, I do a single rose for all my daughters, which will be 3 this upcoming Valentine's Day. They get a single rose every year from me. And that's mainly because I'm not going to let some little punk swoop in and buy them flowers one time. They're like, oh, I've never had this before.
Yeah.
They go off and no, I'm not like I'm making sure they're treated right. They know how they should be treated now.
Yeah.
So I do that every year. Even
gotta set the precedence, man. Set the
exactly.
precedence.
Yeah.
So even like when they're like babies, I obviously don't remember it, but they have pictures of me giving it to them or them with it. And I think that's really the only thing that I consistently do every single year. Like I said, wife and I do something every year, but it's usually different. It kind of depends on when Valentine's Day falls and like money, like all kinds of stuff like that. So, but yeah. All right. Is there any other hard feelings we want to get out there about the commercialization of feelings?
Don't feel pressure, fellas, or ladies.
Ladies don't make them feel pressure.
Yeah, don't make them feel pressure, man. If you
but
love you.
I was going to say, even so, like some ladies, even go above and beyond for their men during those holidays too, during that day. So be mindful. You know what I mean? Like if you know you got a $200 credit card and you ain't pay it off, don't spend that $200 on stuff that like be smart. Like, be smart.
It's like it's okay to celebrate stuff late. Like you don't have to do it
on a smaller scale.
On the tail,
smaller scale. Like we still gonna celebrate, but I'm not going. We're not going here for Valentine's Day. We're not going to Roof Chris and Del Frisco's and just eating a la carte.
Yeah.
Put a focus. Godbody touched on this too. But put a focus on the rest of the year. Don't do enough throughout the rest of the year that you don't feel like you have to compensate on one day.
Yeah.
And then it's not an issue. So that's what you do.
There you go. Mm-hmm. All right. You heard it from the On Fire.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why the 3 of us are on here for this episode, because we're probably the most romantically minded
right. So
of everybody on fire. I can't wait for them to see this. Okay, I've got a question I think is going to be interesting. It's maybe reveal something about your psyche a little bit, but if you're death row, your last meal, what's it going to be? And I'll let you guys answer before I give my favorite one that I've ever heard. But since I've had most of the day to think about this, I'll go ahead and give mine. I would, and you can do an appetizer, an entree, and dessert, and you can give a drink too if you want. So, for an appetizer, I would probably have to do breadsticks from Olive Garden.
Salad,
the warm ones. That is
solid. They got to be fresh.
Solid.
For the entree, there's it's in the Universal City Walk in Orlando, Florida. There's a restaurant there. I don't remember what it's called, but they have. My wife and I went there once before, and they had I'm a big fan of burgers. Like, I just love burgers in general. But they had a meatloaf burger. So it had like a slice of meatloaf, and it had, I think, like mashed potatoes and gravy on it too, and like corn, and it was all like on a burger. It was absolutely amazing. So that would be my entree. For dessert, I don't know. I'm a fan of ice cream too. That's probably my my Achilles heel is ice cream. I'd go with if you're not in the South, you probably have never heard of this. It's called Bluebell.
Yep.
It
Yep.
is
Yep.
it is amazing. They have it's called a flavor is cookie two-step. That would be my dessert of choice. And for my drink, I'm gonna have to go with an Arnold Palmer, which is 50-50 sweet tea and lemonade. So I'll let either one of you that wants to jump in first.
That's gonna be hard for me.
I'm a foodie, so I'm over here thinking about my little choices here.
Oh, you
All
said
right.
appetizer,
Appetizer,
And if-
entree,
and dessert, and a drink.
and beverage.
If you can't think of one of them specifically, or if you would rather have two entrees instead of an appetizer and an entree, hey, you go for it. It's your fictional death. So
Okay, you can go, Antoine. Unless you know.
I kind of got it. All right. So appetizers wise, I need what's it called? Dag. I need those shrimp dumplings from PF Chang's. I need shrimp dumplings from PF Chang's with the teriyaki sauce on it.
Okay.
Yep, I need a solid six. A solid six with the teriyaki sauce. For the entree though, I'm gonna do surf and turf. I need me a lobster tail with a filet mignon, loaded mashed potatoes with broccoli. Dessert wise, I need me a half a dozen of Insomnia cookies from Philadelphia. If you've never been there, you need to get there. Insomnia cookies, chocolate chip cookies from Philadelphia. They soft, hot, right out the oven. They give it to you right in the box. I need that. And then my dessert of choice is the Stewart's root beer. Is my dessert. My beverage is Stewart's root beer. That's got to be. It's got to be iced. I need the ice on the bottle. I need to see the frost on the top of the bottle. I need that right there.
All right.
You can give me the needle right at the end, at the last sip. I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
Oh man. What? All right. So for I'll probably have to do two entrees.
Go for it.
So my first entree will be it's this spot called Shake Station here, and they have it's not vegan, but it's a vegetarian Philly cheesesteak. They use Impossible meat, but
okay.
I gotta have that. I gotta have that. And another entree would be General Soul tofu with some fried rice, vegetable fried rice. And for the dessert, it doesn't matter what brand, some vegan butter pecan ice cream.
Oh, I had that. That's real good.
Yeah. And for the drink, the beverage, that's hard. It would probably be any good brewed tea, like a black tea or like some oolong tea. I'll probably say like some oolong tea.
Oolong,
yeah.
Work.
Yeah, so like nice, good oolong tea. Yeah.
All right, I can respect it. So I think my favorite answer I've ever heard, it was like maybe a month ago or so. I heard this. The question was asked on a podcast, and the person said that they their final meal of choice would be a peanut butter sandwich because
I ain't gonna lie, those hit with some syrup.
His his reasoning was he had a severe peanut allergy and he was going to go out on his terms, not theirs.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
I don't know.
But,
That might be a little bit more painful, don't you think?
I would think so. I mean, I don't have any food allergies. That,
You're going to feel
so.
that as you go.
Yeah.
That's very much it. Just, I mean, it's a power move. Like you're making the decision to feel more just to say that they didn't get it. But
all right, I guess so.
Do they still do the electric chair or just lethal injection? Or
I think it's lethal injection only. I think.
Okay.
I think
Didn't they have a gas chamber or something like that? Or that's like some movie type stuff.
I think there are still some states that do the chair. I think Texas either still has the chair or firing squad, one of the two.
Woof.
Oh,
that's a terrible way to go.
Yeah, I'm just not planning on doing any of them.
Listen, I just want to go in my sleep.
Yeah.
No huss, no fuss. Let me be asleep. Wake up in glory. You know what I mean? I'm good.
Yep. That's my goal is for it to similarly. I just want to pass my sleep. I want to pass at least a day before my wife does, which statistically that's probably the case. But
that's a very deep love, man. That's
right.
deep.
Yeah.
Almost jacked me up right there.
Yeah. We can shift away from the depressing conversation. I do have a while back I had I thought of something I was going to do at the beginning of the podcast and I forgot.
Yeah.
So Godbody and I talked a little bit about this already before, but I figured if we're going to be recurring, this is kind of a personal podcast thing. You know, we're really I'm being very personable with people, with each other and stuff.
Yeah.
So I figured it might be good to periodically, you know, just kind of update people, talk about where we're at. So I had an idea for something I definitely did not steal from another podcast, where we can just talk about like what's going on in our lives. It's called What's Up. I actually I thought about illegally downloading one of Donovan's episodes and ripping that intro and just pasting it in there, but I just thought of that today and I didn't have enough time to do it. But in all seriousness, we can talk a little bit about anything new, updates, what's been going on last week or so, or since you were last on the pod.
Last time I was on the pod, man, that was a while ago.
I don't think you've been on since episode 1, have you?
Yeah, no, I haven't been on since 1. So what's been happening since then? Just been recording. Actually started producing another podcast outside of the ones that I'm already on. It's called the Takeover Podcast. You guys can look it up. It's everywhere. The two people.
You rebranded too, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was about to get to that too. And rebranded, my pod from Studio 124 to the studio with Antoine McGee, and just really focusing on community and calling and diving more deep into purpose. I am also in possible stages. Probably the next time I get on here, this might actually be happening. I might already be accepting the position, but working, I'm like a few inches away from being a youth pastor. So it's happening fast. So it's like a lot of fun stuff happening around me, and including this little dude who's underneath my feet. But but yeah, man, that's what I got going on right now. So it's a lot, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
All right, Godbody.
Oh yeah, since I've been on the pod, just with the UCHH thing with Jake and Donovan, that's been very, very exciting, uplifting, challenging at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But like a good challenge, not like a bad, like why God, like why.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? So, but and just like trying to work on like my projects, you know what I'm saying? Work on like I really thought about this a couple of days ago. Like, man, I gotta really start working on like stuff for myself. You know what I'm saying? To try to, you know what I'm saying, even though like what I'm doing right now with Jake is like, you know, Jake is like like a priority with classes sound music and on fire, but sometimes I still gotta play, okay, what about Godbody? like what about Godbody? So
Yeah,
so
man.
that's why I've been trying to balance, you know what I'm saying? Balance like working with other artists and trying to balance stuff for myself and trying to get like my own podcast, get that up and running and ready. You know what I'm saying? And that takes a lot, just doing the podcast. That takes a lot of
Oh
energy.
yeah.
It takes a lot of time. You need to focus, a sense of like
The
and
prep
that's
time alone, dude. The prep time.
I
Yeah.
say it does, but I feel like, and Antoine, you can say too if you think that this is the case for you. But once I actually got it up and I got started, it was still, I mean, there's still work that's involved in it and stuff, but
Yeah.
it doesn't
Mhm.
feel as much because you kind of get in a groove and
Yeah.
like you get familiar with. I remember the first couple episodes I did. I had notes and stuff, but I had no idea how long it was going to run. I didn't know how long like I was going to talk for. It's
Mhm.
now, I've got a series I'm working on now. I can look at the notes that I have and I can say, okay, so this one's going to be about an hour. I know with how much notes I have, how much I kind of venture off of that and just talk
Mhm.
sporadically,
Yeah.
how quick I usually talk, things like that. If I have any scriptures to pull up and, all this other stuff. So you still stay busy, but it gets it to be an easier busy or more
Yeah.
comfortable busy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's an interesting
Yeah.
busy though, because it's like you're learning. You're like
Yeah.
you're finding yourself and like during the process. So
Yep.
just like stuff you probably never read before, or just
Yeah.
like, oh man, like that was there, or you think like, why do I talk about this? Or maybe some people do talk about it, we just can't find them. But you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's pretty much it right now. Just working on the podcast,
Yeah.
on fire, UCHH, class of sound, and trying to be a better person every day. Every day.
I
Every
feel
single
you.
day.
I
And
feel you.
try
That's admirable, man.
try
Yeah.
not to be of this world. Like,
In
and
and
I'm
not
so
of.
yeah. And I can see how people could really tap out of the world. People like, man, where you been? Like, man, I just been focused.
I've been in the cave, man.
Yeah, like
Cave of
That's what
Adullam.
getting in and doing this stuff. I'm starting to understand people that go on like writing sabbaticals where they'll like go rent a cabin in the middle of nowhere
And
for
right.
yeah,
2 months and just write. Like I get it.
yeah. You need that. You
Um,
need that time just to just vent
oh yeah.
quietly.
No, so
Yeah.
I think since the last, I think I was on episode 4. Yeah, that was me, Jake, Donovan, and Charlie. So since then, we've had the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop, whoop.
She did not come in 2023. She waited until 2024, so I don't get that tax exemption. But, she so we were really praying. My wife with our 2-year-old, she got an epidural and it really messed her back up really bad. She's still like she can feel the exact spot where it was at.
Oof.
So one of our biggest prayers
That's
this
a big
time
window.
was we were going to go in. She wasn't going to have the epidural. She wanted to try no medicine at all. But if she did do medicine, it was just going to be like Tylenol or ibuprofen or something through an IV. So this time we got up, we got to the hospital. She was having contractions, and from the time we got to the hospital to the time like baby was here was like 2 hours. So there was no time for an epidural to even happen. They actually ended up not even being able to get an IV in because of how quickly it was going. They couldn't get the IV taped down. It kept coming off. So she delivered our daughter with absolutely no pain medicine whatsoever, which I've told her multiple times she's a lot tougher than I am, because I was telling Godbody beforehand, if it was up to men to deliver children, the human race
wouldn't be doing
probably
that.
would have gone. Nope.
Yeah.
Human race
be
would be
doing
extinct thousands of years ago.
Heck yeah.
Ain't
But
no
no,
way.
that it was
Just be animals.
But it was a crazy experience. It was really, really quick. But we're home. Everyone's healthy, doing well. Besides that, it's been a lot of just plugging away on kind of the same stuff I have been. I am deep into on basically biblical. I'm doing a testimony series, which has been really, really awesome. I've connected with some people that have crazy stories. There's one lady I interviewed who actually she's born in Ukraine, sold into a trafficking ring, was sent to like Egypt, and then ended up getting out of it, and then some stuff happened, and she ended up putting herself back in it because she was scared of some situation going down, and then she ended up getting ran away and got freedom. But just like crazy stuff like that, I've been able to connect with people on and hear their testimony, and it's been really really uplifting and edifying to hear. But I'm also working on a very, very in-depth study on the fruit of the Spirit that I did not want to do. I was very reluctant to get into, but I very, very strongly felt like God saying, like, this is something I needed to do. So as I've been getting into it, I was talking to Godbody beforehand. I went in expecting like, okay, I'm gonna have like 3 videos total, maybe 4. And I get in and I'm like, okay, well, I'll do one video just like an introduction, and then I'll split up the fruit on the other videos and I get the introduction done, and then I start working on the fruit of love. And I'm like, at first I'm thinking, okay, we'll probably split love and joy on one video, and that'll be probably about an hour. And as I'm going through now, like, it's very much in the realm of possibility I'm going to split love out into 2 videos, just because there's
so much.
If you really dig into this stuff, there is so much, and you can reach out and see how it's connecting with so many different other passages, other parts of the Bible. I've probably read Galatians 5 through start to finish over 100 times in the last month.
That's good.
But it's been a very, very rewarding and probably the most in-depth study I've ever done. Most in-depth teaching I've ever done, definitely. So I think it'll be good.
So let me ask you a question, because I've had this question in my head for a while. I just never asked it to you. So why not do it now? Why not do it now? Do you think it's possible that God may be calling you to be a new modern theologian?
I've had the thought. So I've always been drawn to like debate type stuff. So typically my go-to was politics, because if you want to argue with people, you talk politics or religion. And so I went to politics at first, and that kind of shifted to apologetics more. And I really like apologetics. It's definitely a passion of mine.
It's a great subject.
I've kind of shifted my view on it. When I first really started looking at it, I want to know how to win an argument so I can show someone that the Bible's right or show someone that I'm right. And it has shifted very, very much towards I want to know how to answer someone's questions so that I can show them that Jesus is real. Much more of I heard the term evangelistic apologetics.
Yeah, you
go. That has been a lot of my focus, what I've been looking at and stuff. I have really started to look more on the theologian side of stuff recently. Getting in and doing deep dive into teaching and stuff like that. There's a guy I recommend all the time. There are very few people that I will just give a blanket recommendation, tell you go watch their content, go listen to them. Just I trust them implicitly. He is one that I will, and it's not because I agree with him on everything. There's stuff I disagree with him on, but it's because he is so thorough, and he is very transparent about, like, I watched an end times view video he did where he's going over different views on end times, and he was open. He's like, this is what my view is. He said, but he actually laid out, like, these are questions that my view can't answer. And so he was transparent with that. And his name's Mike Winger. He just did he's actually about to finish it up. Maybe it's a series on women in ministry, and he went into it.
I think I saw that.
So he went into it. I know who you're
talking about.
Yeah, it's right now there are 11 parts to it. I think he said 12, either 12 or 13 will be the last one. But each video, the shortest video is like an hour and 5 minutes long. And what he's doing is going and breaking down these different topics. There's one video that is almost 7 hours long, and it is only talking about headdresses. The most recent one he did, he spent over a year preparing for. It is 11 hours long, and it is only talking about the, what is it, 1 Timothy passage about I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority.
Yeah.
It is only talking about that verse, and it's almost 12 hours long. And what he's doing, he's just looking at every single argument against it, and he's looking at every single defense for it, and going through and breaking it down and saying, okay, like, does this actually work? Does this not work? And I've started noticing in myself a lot more of a his admiration, maybe would be the word. His ability to sit and go through that, like, at that depth, and make it at a level where a layperson can just go in and listen and actually get what he's saying. But no, I've had thoughts about that. So what made you start thinking that, or bring that to your?
Well, listening to your podcast over the few weeks that I've known about it, I started to get that type of sense where he's serious about it. He's very serious about it. Because some Christian podcasters, and I think we're going to get in trouble with this, but I don't care.
Shake it up. We gotta shake things up, brother.
Hey, we're gonna. I say this on my podcast frequently. I like to stand in the middle of the road and get hit by traffic going both ways.
Right.
If it's true, I'm gonna say it. If you don't like it, take it up with my boss.
But you're right, and he's up there.
Yep.
But some Christian podcasters are watered down. They say what you want to hear. Some of it is very inspirational. God's going to do this for you and that for you, and these things are true.
Yeah.
But when that's your only message,
what about doing the works?
Yep.
Thank you. What about the other side of the coin? People forget there's two sides to a coin. There's heads and tails.
Yeah.
Most of us only want to do the stuff that the head does, but don't want to really deal with the tail. Because
It's a lot of,
it's a lot of work.
And it's a
that
lot
goes
of
into it.
basically it's prosperity gospel on YouTube.
Yeah, it's
what it boils down
craziness.
to.
And then,
down.
but then if you look at the demographics of people who go to church and who don't go to church, but are watching content on YouTube, you're noticing that people are becoming more Bible illiterate than ever before.
Oh,
And we have the access to the word and at the click of a button. You can open up your phone. Literally, here's John 4. You can open up your phone and go through about 85 to 90 over 100 different translations of the Bible. Take your pick. Take your pick, and you can read it. You can listen to it, and you can take your notes and study it. But you're listening and clinging on to the words of these people that have not been proven, tested, or better yet, shall I say, even called to do it.
Yeah.
They're just stringing scriptures along that make it sound good. Oh, they're Christian.
Yeah.
Oh, they're nice. But really, they're witches and wizards and warlocks behind the scenes trying to get you to name it and claim it. And
that's how the man of God got deceived by lions.
Saying like you gotta be careful who you listen to, you know.
Well, that's like there's
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I think it was the last episode I had come out in 2023. If not, it was the episode before that. But I kind of did almost a reaction to a survey that came out by, I think it was Christianity Today. But it was like the top 5 heresies that most evangelicals believe. And it was stuff like
I'm going to go back and catch that one.
Now, some of it, and I addressed this in the video, some of it's like how they word the question, I think is not the best. But then there's some stuff, like one of them was 4% of evangelical Christians agreed with the statement that Jesus was the first created being of God the Father. I'm like, no.
What?
Like the Council of Nicaea refuted this idea like 1,500 years ago. This is heresy. If you believe this, you're not a Christian. Period. But I think there's a lot of Christians that
my Lord,
they are completely illiterate on what it's just, hey, my pastor says this, so I'm going to go along with that.
Yeah, they don't challenge themselves. Like if I could tell a quick story, like I'm the kid
Go for it.
who was 12 years old, sitting in Bible study classes, sitting in discipleship classes, and listening to what the teacher is teaching. And as they're teaching it and showing me the scripture, I'm reading it, and I'm like, that's not what the Bible says. And they're looking at me like, how do you know what it says? And I'm reading it, and I read it out loud.
It's right here.
It says this, and this, right? Now they're thinking because they're reading in King James that I'm not going to understand King James. Little do they know that the Lord gave me a special ability when I was 8 years old to understand the Bible. So if other people was reading other books, I was reading my Bible in my room, like reading it, like for my own self, not to sit around and preach it, but to understand it and to start to find and grasp onto concepts. So, and then what I did after that, I challenged the dude. I said, yo, that's not what it says. This is what it says. You're not teaching us right. And they looked at me and was like, oh, he has to get out of this class. He's unruly. So then when I go to the youth pastor and I'm like, hey, yeah, your boy ain't teaching right. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm showing him what he said. And he's like, oh, he's not. Thank you. Like seriously, like I say that to say this, like for people who are listening, And even if you're listening to any of our podcasts and we say something that's not right or something you don't agree with, challenge that. Not
Yep.
in a way of
Yeah.
tearing the person down, calling them a false teacher, false prophet, whatever you want to call them, but say, hey, you might want to go back and look at this again. Because sometimes we get it wrong too.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's why I admire what Jesse does. Godbody, you threw me for a loop with your scripture that you threw in there when we were fasting. We're gonna talk. I was like, what? And I've read that before, but whatever. It threw me off. I was like, okay, I got to go back and read this again. But I love what we do as individuals. You know, Donovan, myself, Jesse, Cody. We take the time and we prep and we sit before God and we crack open books, not just Bible, but seminary books, theological books, other people's books. We test it and we wait and we ask each other questions. Like, if y'all can see our text thread, it's crazy. It's crazy. And we throw stuff out there and just and figure stuff out. But you got to be able to do that as for yourself. I think this is the time in the season, like especially for like the younger generation, where their burning question is, who is God and is God real? That's their burning question.
They want truth too.
They're
more, I think, more than any other generation, they want truth.
They want the truth because here's the thing: they grew up with reality television.
Yeah.
They grew up with fake social media celebrities and influencers. They grew up with stuff that they discovered is not real.
Yep.
That has broken their hearts. They grew up with broken homes and families, lies in their families. So now they're looking for what is the truth.
Truth. Yeah.
I might do an episode on that. Okay. All right.
Do it.
But
do it.
What is the truth?
So I've actually rethunk. There's several views that I held even up to a year, 2 years ago. I had held my entire life, and I had the view at the time that there is no doubt this is what the Bible is teaching on this. And those views have changed pretty drastically recently. And they're views that aren't necessarily popular in a lot of Christian evangelical circles. And I'll I know Godbody mentioned this before, that I'm going to get on his podcast at some point, and he wants to ask me some questions that are going to upset some people. So
you have to it's crazy how you could tell somebody like, man, I can't, like, I'm not doing that. That's not even in the Bible. They look like, what? You can't just do everything the Bible says. Like, what are you talking about? If it's so plain and simple, and that's like a super sin, like, I mean, we have like unintentional sins, but like, I'm not gonna blatantly do something knowing
it's in there.
I'm God fearing. A lot of people are not God fearing. It's not a lot of
and
God
that's
fearing
that's the core of it. And Jesse talked about that in our chat, like the fear of God. It's a lost art. It's a lost art. I'm trying to get John Bevere on my podcast so bad. I really want.
And you can see that in the preaching too. Like with some of these preaching, like I like, man, if somebody from our church watched this, I'm sorry, but last Sunday, like I love my pastor. He's great, but he didn't preach in the last, because we moved into a whole new building. So we finally got our own building. So he didn't preach. Another guy preached, and I was thinking like, what is he talking about? Like, and I'm like, I like, you know what I'm saying? I used to listen to old school preachers that just preach out the Bible. Like literally out the Bible. And I like that. Like, it's not boring. It's like, I want to hear exactly from, I want to hear scripture. And it was like probably like 10% scripture. And I'm like, and they're like, oh man, like this, like, I hope this wasn't somebody like first day coming to our church. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's, I think there's
I don't know. He's a great guy though. He's great. He's great. He's like he handled the worship team. Like he's great at the like doing like putting the worship together. Like he's like top notch with that. But,
hey, everybody's got different skills.
yeah,
And I'll say too, like I've filled in a couple times with some different stuff at my church. I do think that teaching is a skill of mine, but I don't feel like I fit the preaching mold.
There you go.
I'm not typically. It's just not my personality to be like really flamboyant in how I'm talking and getting emotional. Like I present calmly. Now I do like preachers that do that. My pastor, he, if you ever want to be entertained on a Sunday morning, check out my church's live stream. I shared it in a video I did before. But my pastor, like he does not care. He was talking about something going on in the church and people weren't liking it. And it wasn't anything that he was doing of his own volition. It was, things that we needed to do as a church. And he stopped and he said, "This is what we're going to do. If you don't like it, I think the Baptist church down the road is taking members. I'll drive you." Like from the pulpit on a Sunday morning.
I like him already.
He's open to criticism. Like even like, me knowing a lot of people that are in the charismatic community or the Pentecostal community. I'm a charismatic. I believe 100% the gifts of the Spirit are for today. But there are guardrails that Paul puts in place for how they are to operate and things like
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. And I've been in Pentecostal churches my entire life. I have been to, this is honestly the first Pentecostal church second Pentecostal church I've ever been to that I think actually pays attention to those guardrails. And there's things that he does that I think most people don't even realize, but because I'm familiar with what those are, I pick up on it and I notice there's an intentionality behind what he's doing to make sure that it is in line with what we're told to do in Scripture. And there's just there's not a lot of churches that do that. There's not a lot of pastors that do that. There's a serious lack in good leadership in the church today.
Because Jesus is big business to a lot of these people. Jesus is big business.
Yep, 100%.
That's why Jesus is big business. It's a hustle.
All I was going to do was do this, but you said it already.
It's a hustle.
It's cool. It's a hustle.
It's sad because we lead the people to hell.
Yeah, for sure. Because they don't understand. They don't understand that Scripture that those that teach get. I'm gonna like paraphrase it, but they receive. I think it's like a harsher judgment.
Yeah,
or
first judgment. They get the first judgment. Start with the house of God.
Yep, and it's better for. I think this is specifically about people that lead children astray, but it ties in with the teaching aspect. But it'd be better for them to have a millstone hung around their neck and them dropped into the sea.
The sea.
Yeah.
Because like you gotta take the word for what it is.
Yeah.
And here's what it is. Now, when I got this revelation from my pastor, it blew my mind. You're opening up a spiritual dimension every time you open up that book. Yep. You have access to it's your kingdom constitution. Literally, everything for the kingdom is in that book. And anything that God will speak to you will not be contrary to what he wrote in the book.
Yep.
It will reflect what's in there, because we believe that the canon Bible was picked and put together by people who had the Spirit.
Yeah.
You know, and went through and discovered what worked and what didn't work. So we got to be careful with how we approach opening that book and approaching the text and being for sure that God has called us to do it. And also on top of that, knowing that when you do it, and here's a guardrail. I love that phrase now that Jesse brought up. Here's a guardrail. You study yourself full, meaning you study yourself to the fullest capacity.
Mhm.
You pray yourself hot. That means you take time and set aside time to pray specifically about what you're about to say, what you've been studying. If God has something unique he wants to give you in the middle of that, pray yourself hot. And then you have enough faith to let yourself go.
Mhm.
And
Like
if you do that, you'll never fail. And
Exactly.
and that's not from me, that's from my pastor. Something he taught us in ministers classes about that. So like you guys, like some of you people, I just want to encourage anybody that's out there that's listening to us, that's aspiring to be a podcaster, Christian podcaster, teach, talk about God. These are the things that you really need to do and look at and consider, because it's not a game out here. It's really, really not.
It's not.
Nope.
It's not.
There is, and that's, I think, something else too that a lot of people don't really grasp is and this goes for people that are in the church and not in the church, but I think there's a lot of people that don't get that it is not just a social club. Like if what we,
that's how they try to make it seem like Christianity
Yeah.
is some social club, some members only type. Like, no.
And so I've got friends that are friends that are atheists, that do not believe, and they do not get upset when I bring up the Bible and I try to talk to them about Jesus. The reason they don't get upset is because they understand I genuinely believe this. So if I genuinely believe what the Bible teaches, that if they do not accept Jesus, they're going to spend eternity in hell, then it would be terrible of me to not try to convert them. Like they even though they don't believe, they understand my mindset going into it, and they, even if other Christians try to talk to them and stuff like that, they're not put off by it because they understand, hey, they think this is real, so they're acting in a way that makes sense for them, thinking that it's real, and so there's a lot of Christians I think that don't get that either. They just kind of see it as a check the box off on going to church on Sunday, and I'll read my Bible once a month,
and
that's it.
And that starts with the pastors.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Like, because it's how you preach. We lost
Antoine.
It's about how you preach the word. Like, I mean, we already know Jesus is real, and we know we get God's grace through Jesus, and we are blessed. But it's not about, like, I think it's too many preachers preaching like the blessings of Jesus instead of like trying to be image of Jesus, like to do the walks of Jesus. Like, I want to walk like Jesus. I want to be a reflection of Christ. And nobody's teaching that. So there's a lot of people just like, it's lazy Christians. So I go to church on Sunday. I look at the Bible app, whatever. Oh, I'm saved. Like, no. Like,
that's
Jesus coming to judge. He ain't coming to preach or give a sermon or he's coming to judge.
That's where you get those messianic prophecies that the Jewish people thought Jesus was going to do when he first came.
Yeah,
he's coming to do that the second time.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be on and popping when he comes.
Yeah,
the second time.
Yeah.
I mean, and most people don't really recognize that. Like, yeah, that day of vengeance that's in Isaiah after he proclaims
walk through the wild press.
Yeah,
I was just reading that today.
I don't want to be parts. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be on the other side of that.
Exactly.
And that comes in where you have to make a choice. You know, do you want to be
A goat or a sheep?
that? And then also, do you really want to be with Jesus or not?
Yeah.
And that comes with the cost of discipleship. Understanding that cost, understanding that it's sacrifice, understanding that you have to die to yourself daily. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's not asking you to be the best version of yourself every day, but he is asking you to live a life of surrender and to give him your heart. That's what he wants. He wants your heart. He wants your life. He wants to be able to help you through because he's not a dictator. Jesus is the greatest gentleman I've ever known in my life. You know, he'll give you a command and he'll give you a suggestion, and you can be like, nah, I don't want to do that. And he'll be like, okay, I'll wait.
Yep.
And he'll wait. Because then eventually you're going to come back to what he originally asked you to do. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between maturity and immaturity. Maturity is going to tell you, okay, and we can use this as a real life example. Maturity is going to tell you, okay, when I come home, I got to make sure the dishes is like when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, no dishes in the sink. Trash had to be out. Floor had to be swept. Floor had to be vacuumed. If I needed to mop. That wasn't every time, but if I needed to, use discernment and see, okay, the floor need to be mopped. Bathroom needs to be clean. Okay, you know what I mean? Make sure toilet seats down, everything's wiped down. You're good. So that when my mom came home, because I valued her, that's the problem. When my mom came home,
I didn't look at that as bad as a kid. Like chores, I didn't find that as a punishment. I just
it's not a
figured out
punishment. You pay your dues.
That's something I got to do. Yeah, something I have to do.
Because
Hey.
they're paying for it.
Hey,
sing or whatever.
That's that agape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full circle right there.
It's agape. And but then when you look at Jesus, we pray because we value him. We spend time with him because we value him. We read the word because we value him. We give to people because we value the concept of giving. We love on people because we value Jesus, and we value people because he values people, even if they are opposite of what I believe and all those things. He didn't care. If he came today, if he didn't come back then, if he came today, he would be sitting with those that are in the LBGTQ plus community. He would be sitting with those who are strung out on drugs and have the needles in their arm and sitting in the streets. He would be talking to those people because the church isn't talking to those people.
Yep.
He will be making disciples of those people.
Yeah.
The drug dealers on the corner who are trying to get it right, but they have this lifestyle.
Yep. Because Jesus wasn't even judging then. He was just trying to make people understand. like, this is my really father. Going on.
This is my father. This is what he represents.
Yeah.
And will you accept
it? I'm the image. And I'm walking image.
You don't accept it, that's on you. You can't say I didn't tell you.
Like when he told the Jews, when he was like, okay, you don't believe, I'm just paraphrasing, you don't believe I'm the son of God, but believe the works that I'm doing is from God. And they was like, we believe it's from God, but we don't believe you the son of God. And so it's just like, he like, all right, you acknowledge that, but
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But he ain't cuss him out. He ain't do either. He was just all right.
No, all man. Right. We got to lead with what we talked about in the beginning of this episode, agape.
Yeah.
But also in agape is sternness. In agape is discipline. In agape is, conviction, and in agape in some ways is punishment and correction.
Yeah.
It's all in there because whom he loves, he also chastens. Exactly. He corrects.
And that's a very unpopular view, and especially in our culture today, that people think, if you love somebody, you reinforce whatever they want. You back up whatever they feel like they are, or they want to have, or they want to do, or whatever.
And that's how you create a menace.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like,
Mhm.
you know, if my 2-year-old were to go try to stick her finger in an outlet, I would tell her no. I would actually probably smack her hand to get her to not even go around it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I love her and I know that she doesn't understand what's there. She
Mhm.
doesn't understand what's going to happen if she tries to do that. But I am trying to show her through correction,
Prevent you.
through chastising, through, you know, to get her to stay away from the thing that is going to hurt her. And eventually she will have the understanding that,
Mhm.
hey, that would have done this if I would have gone through with it.
Yeah.
But that's, people need to realize that love, if you love somebody, you tell them what they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell them the truth.
I have so I wrote a book a while back, and one of the first chapter in it, I talk about basically surrounding yourself with people that love you enough to hurt your feelings. And that's you want to make sure.
Mm.
And so, you know, for me, my dad has been one of those people. My wife is one of those people. There are a lot of people that if I do something or say something or, you know, whatever, they'll, oh yeah, that's great. And they mean well, but my wife is very, very quick to tell me like, hey, that's stupid. Don't do that.
Mhm.
And not because
Yeah.
like it's 100% because it's based
We
out of
need
love.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
we need it.
and so
And
that's love.
And I want to add into this, when you love someone, you're giving them permission to be able to hurt you.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because in that, like you said, in that love is that vulnerability.
Yeah.
So when we love people like Christ loved people, do you not? He says he was a man smitten of God. He was afflicted. He felt the things that we felt. He knew what it was like to be ridiculed, to not be believed, to be doubted, and to be persecuted publicly but praised privately. Like he knew what it was like to deal with us.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then if we take that same model and we use it to love on people, we're not him for sure. So
Yeah.
we can't
Yeah.
handle everything that he handled. But
Yeah.
there is a dimension of grace and a dimension of the spirit that will allow us to love on people to a point where we can love them and not be, how can I say this, tainted by humanity.
Mhm.
Because
Yep.
that's what a lot of Christians are afraid of. A lot of believers are afraid of. It's like, if I give so much, I might get hurt.
You
So
don't worry about it.
I'm just gonna hold back. But that's when you need to use discernment and pray.
Mhm.
You know, Jesus didn't do everything everywhere, and even in his hometown. Like to be the Messiah and not be able to show off in your hometown. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's like Godbody throwing a big concert in his hometown, wanting to throw a big concert in his hometown and nobody buy tickets.
Well.
You coming home
Yeah.
and nobody buy tickets and you coming home.
Yeah.
Nobody want to believe in your gift, but they praising you and hearing about you when you're outside of that.
That-
But when you come home and you want them to show love, they're not gonna show no love.
Mhm. Mhm. That speaking because they said Jesus was a Jew because he didn't appear like outwardly. He wasn't like the outward Jew, as Paul said. He was a Jew from the inside, the circumcision of the heart, and they didn't like that. They didn't like that.
He had a heart that was cut.
He ain't pulling up on horses. He had a donkey. They like, hold on, you call yourself a king? You don't look like no king. Oh, I am a king.
Yep.
It ain't about the appearance. It's about what's inside. What's
Yeah,
inside
but
the
what's
heart
in me?
is in me. Like
I got a heart that's cut. Ooh, that's funky.
it's
Yikes.
man.
Ooh,
Well,
y'all get me
fellas,
all jacked up. It's time to
Yeah, I know, man.
let's close this out.
I think we brought this full circle. I think we did a good one for the day after Valentine's Day. I think that's going to be fitting.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead. We'll end it here. Make sure if you like the stuff, you like this video, subscribe, Put down in the comments. I want to know, anybody that's watching this, what would your last meal be?
Yes, I was going to ask that.
And I want, you can do appetizer, entree, dessert, drink, just whatever you want to put it. You can do 2 appetizers. You can do 4 drinks if you want. I mean, if you don't want to eat, then whatever you want to do, put it in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you always see when we have new stuff coming out, because we have a lot more in the works besides just this podcast.
Oh, yes,
and a lot more in the works. So appreciate everybody watching, listening. Thanks for the time, and God bless.
Yes, sir. Peace
On
out.
fire, got a lot to say. Yeah.
That is so dope.